Howdy, howdy, howdy. Hey guys, how are y'all doing? Welcome to Monday. Welcome. What is it, May 10th? Yeah, I can read it right there on the little thing. Time's going so fast. How are y'all all doing? I hope y'all are doing fantastic this evening. Let me change that banner so I've got a little more different room and all that. Uh, Let me start the show before I forget. SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love all the other reality TV fans of the world. And I love all the people that come out here to hang with me on a Monday night. Just talk about whatever we want to talk about. As always, I've got notes and I'll go through a few things here. But y'all got anything specific y'all want to talk about? Give me a shout. Give me a holler because I'm pretty open this evening. I see a lot of y'all already out there. It's always cool when I go out there. I always see a lot of y'all sitting out there. Amanda, howdy. Mertzy, is this the Jeff Mertz? Mertzy, Joshy, Parker, Anthony, Brian, David, and all of Ma, Eddie Mo, Ma, Don, Angie, Hayden. Wow, all of y'all are out here. I hope y'all are starting off the week great. Man, we had all kinds of bad weather and stuff. Not right here in Houston, but just north of here. Made it kind of tough over the weekend, but we came out fine. Man, I'll tell y'all what we did for Mother's Day here in just a little bit, because it was Mother's Day. If you forgot about it, as much as I want you out here, you may need to just get on the phone right now and call some people and make amends as best you can, right? You got to celebrate the mothers that raised us and get that taken care of, guys. So just another friendly reminder. Well, I guess before we get going, okay, I'm kind of already all flustered. Before we get going, let's do as we always do. Let's talk a little bit about today in history, special day. The first 365 people that got in line got a special day for their particular hobby or activity, and then the rest just had to pile on wherever it sounded good. Maybe something like that. I don't know, but every day there's something going on. Sometimes there's more fun than others. I gotta say today, maybe not my absolute favorite celebration day, but we still got to talk about it. So for those of you who may not know, today, very special day because it's today is National Clean Up Your Room Day. Can't say it any differently than that. Go clean up your room. Maybe not my favorite day. Yeah, I think a mom probably came up with this one. For the moms of the world, you had Mother's Day yesterday, and now today you get to carry it over one extra day and tell your kids, say, hey, it's still kind of Mother's Day in some parts of the world, so go clean your room. So clean up your room day. If your room isn't all kinds of fancy, then maybe you can go do that. It got me to thinking, though, when I was in the Don saying my room is always clean. Well, Don, y'all watch me on TV, so my room isn't necessarily always the cleanest in the world. But I tried. Well, I was in the Big Brother house. Man, when I first got in there, there's 16 of us and people everywhere. You couldn't go in a room without finding half a dozen people talking about you, it seems like half the time, but people all over. And Ovi and I were having to share a bed. There was just so little space at the time, which is probably why they gave us those little big suitcases to carry into the Big Brother house. So when I first got in there, I tried to keep everything so nice and sorted. Ovi and I worked out. I got 3 drawers. He got 3 drawers. We had a chest at the end of the bed. We kind of split it half and half, and I tried to be so good about it. And that worked about halfway through the season. And by the time we got to the second half, say into the jury segment and all of that, by then there were a whole lot fewer people inside the house. And I kept getting on the block. And for those of you who don't know, I'm sure you probably saw, but for those of you who don't know, anytime you get put on the block, like a day before the eviction night, so on Wednesday, we would show up in the storage room, and the 2 people who were on the block, your suitcases would be sitting there in the storage room. And that always hit home. It's always like, oh man, that's my suitcase there. That means I could be going home. It's the most horrible feeling in the world when you actually see your big suitcase. And so I would have to go pack all my stuff up and be prepared just in case I got evicted, that I would walk outside to see Julie with that little suitcase and everything, the little one that gave us the bag. But then someone would come into the storage room at some point and grab the big suitcase and take it away, and you're out of the house. And so, I always hated having to pack that thing up. But we did that. After about the second or third time I'd done it, I got to the point where I said, man, I just don't even want to unpack anymore. So I started just living out of that suitcase. Put some things in dressers, but for the most part, let me scoot over. For the most part, I just had everything in the suitcase. And then by the time you got to just 5 or 6 of us, I didn't even worry about that. I just had clothes all over, especially when I started sleeping in the RV room because it was a little cooler out there. It's so hot in some of those rooms. So I started sleeping out there. I just had a mess everywhere. I didn't care. What are you going to do? Boot me out? You already put me on the block every other week anyway. So I didn't care that much. But I tried. So for those of you who have a hankering to do it, go clean up your room after we get through the show. You can wait. You can wait another hour, right? I'm not going to clean up my room. My room's going to have to stay the way it is. But there you go. Now, tomorrow, much better day because tomorrow we've got another celebration. And tomorrow is, I like this one, Eat What You Want Day. All right, guys. So I got the question for y'all. Y'all know I've got a special fondness for Whataburgers and a few other foods. But if you could eat anything if you want, say it's your last day on the earth before you get in a spaceship and you head off to Mars and you have to eat paste for the rest of your life. If you've got one meal left to eat, what are you going to eat? What are you going to eat on your national Eat What You Want Day? Kind of curious to see what some of y'all's thoughts are. I'll tell you what mine is. Yeah, Whataburger would be great, but I'm thinking I would want anything, the spicier, the better. Man, loaded up with spice. I'm thinking right now, maybe if I had my pick, I would go get a gigantic bowl of pho, which is Vietnamese soup. It's got broth in it. You can put a whole lot of hot sauce in there, all different kinds of meat. Noodles, beans. These things are big. These are huge. And we've got Vietnamese restaurants all over town. So you can go get pho on any street corner almost, it seems like. And they are amazing. Put a bunch of lime juice in there and everything. And it would be spicy and broth and soup. Chicken soup's always good, but this is just spicing it up a little bit. So I think I would maybe go with the pho. Hayden saying pizza and milk. That worked for me. Y'all know I got called out. I can't believe I got called out for drinking milk along with pizza, which I thought was just fine. But obviously some people don't like it. But Hayden, thumbs up for me. I got no problem with that. Pizza would be pretty. That's not a bad way to go. I don't know. You know what I'd have to do? I am a man who has a hard time making a decision. I'd probably have to just say, you know what? It's my last day on earth before I brock it up or whatever I'm doing. So just bring me a little bit of everything. I'll have a couple of bites of pizza. I'll have some pho. Why limit yourself to a single meal? So yeah, Crosstrack saying it's tough. There's so many. I agree. It's a lot. Mertzy saying enchiladas. Yeah, enchiladas would be a good one. Hey, you couldn't go wrong with the little Tex-Mex, right? I'd be okay. Certainly any kind of Tex-Mex food would be fantastic. So man, and I can eat a lot of enchiladas too. I don't know how we have all different kinds of Tex-Mex down here in Houston, but one I used to really like was I don't remember the restaurant served. They'd bring out like a stack of 12 enchiladas with sauce over the top, and then they break some fried eggs on top of it. So you just had this big old meal of enchiladas. Oh, so good. I loved it. All right, so maybe I have to reevaluate my Vietnamese food for my final choice. That's a tough one to make. See, Dawn is saying today is Devon's birthday. Oh, I know. I saw that. Her daughter didn't think she had to go to school because it was Devon's birthday. Well, all kinds of surprises as you go through life. She probably knew and just thought she could try to get it past her mom. But yeah, happy birthday to Devon. I saw her postings on Instagram and I already sent her some birthday wishes as well. So happy birthday to her, and I hope she is blessed. Angie saying soy sauce chicken, a huge bowl of fresh cherries. The chicken sounds good. Cherries, okay, I can handle it. I'd probably replace it with strawberries because that's my favorite fruit. Pineapples are getting closer and closer, but I'd probably throw strawberries in there instead of cherries. But it sounds pretty good. And Moss and Rockstar's daughter's birthday, I think we're a little more into the summer before we get to her birthday, if I remember how that particular conversation went once upon a time. Hey, Crossstack said I wouldn't eat anything that would be gassy because nothing worse than a fart in a spacesuit. Hey, at least you're in a spacesuit where the only person that has to deal with it yourself. And Parker, yeah, I'm liking reading all these comments, guys. I always said if I get executed, my death row would be 4 tacos, ravioli, biscuits, gravy, cheeseburger, pizza, Big Mac, French fries, and 2 liters of Mountain Dew. That's all right. That's all right. I hope you got a big stomach because that's a lot of eating in there. I've told y'all before, so I won't go into the story now. But when I got out of the Big Brother house, I told them, I said, hey, just stop by McDonald's and get me something. They said, what do you want? I said, well, give me one of everything. And they did it. Oh, I ate good that night. I ate fantastic. I would have rather still been in Big Brother house eating the stuff we had in there, but whatever. You take what you can get. Crossdrag got laughed at for drinking chocolate milk, which I love, with a cheese omelet. I like chocolate. You know what was funny in my growing up? I told you I like strawberries. And two brothers, my brother Robert, a year and a half younger than I am, couldn't agree on everything. Everything had to be sibling rivalry, a little fighting here and there. So his favorite thing was chocolate milk. Mine was strawberry milk. For breakfast, he liked Count Chocula. I liked Frankenberry. Yeah, so I liked all the strawberry stuff. He liked all the chocolate stuff. My poor mom. Thank you, Mom. I love you. And if there was, my mom doesn't deserve just a Mother's Day. She deserves 365 days a year. She and my wife both. But we made it tough for her because when we had lunch every day at school, she'd have to make chocolate milk for my brother Robert, strawberry milk for me, breakfast, different cereals. So yeah. But I got no problem with chocolate milk Crosstrack. I drink it with a cheese omelet as well. And Amanda's saying all you can eat crab legs. Amanda, you may win it right there. Crab legs, lobster tail, things like that. All right, I got another story. I just kind of deviate from my plans, but that's okay because we're just here to talk and hang out, right? One of the most amazing meals I ever had, and I've been all over the world, so I've had a lot of meals, good and bad. But we went to a place that was actually on Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So pretty cool setting to start with. But I know here in Houston they've got these restaurants. What do they call them? Parias, Brazilian steakhouses, where basically you pay one set fee and they just keep bringing food to you all night long. You know, every kind of cut of meat you can imagine. There's a little button that's either green or red. If it's green side up, they keep coming by with more meats. If you're full, you flip it over to red, and it's all you can eat. And they bring out a lot of food, a lot of meat. But they had one like that in Copacabana Beach at this place. But on one side was the meat restaurant, and on the other side was a seafood restaurant. It's exactly the same idea, and we ate in the seafood side, except all night long they would just bring you shrimp and crab legs and oysters and big old cuts of filet of steak, tuna steaks and things like that. Everything you could possibly imagine. And I don't know that I've ever eaten more crab meat and lobster tails and shrimp cooked every way you could possibly imagine all night long. It's perfect. Maybe that's it. If I only have one meal left, sorry guys, you're gonna have to fly me down to Rio de Janeiro and we'll just load up at the restaurant down there because that was pretty cool. All right, let's see. Don Moss saying it's either July 22nd or 23rd for Angela for her daughter's birthday. Yeah, it's somewhere during the summer, right? Let's see. All right, Joshy saying, how long do they have you sit in the living room during the live shows? All right, Joshy, I'll give you a little inside scoop on how Big Brother starts or how the live shows go. We practice a little bit earlier in the day. Because they want us to know where we sit, because they always figure that, you're going to be sitting next to Holly and Tommy's over here, because they have to stage everything out, right, for cameras and all that kind of stuff. So we have a quick little practice, and we have a practice vote where they'll say zombies versus space aliens. And I think we've talked about this on here before. And we go in and vote one or the other to evict from Earth or whatever, just so we know the order of who's voting when. So that's taken care of. So we do all that during the afternoon. And then right before the show starts, they say, okay, house guests, get on in here. And there's lots of times that we would sit, because we were pre-COVID. So we would be sitting in there and we'd be trying so hard to hear Julie Chen and the crowd on the other side of the walls. And sometimes before the show started, you'd hear a little yell as they, I don't know what they're saying. Are y'all ready for Big Brother? Whatever they're saying. But we would hear occasional yell. And when we heard that, then we know, okay, we're almost there, guys. We're about ready to start. And sure enough, then after just a second, the camera comes on and there's Julie and she's like, hey, house guest. And we're like, hey, Julie. That's all live. I mean, there's no editing or anything else. That's truly us talking to Julie, just like y'all see on TV. And normally she'd say hello or something like that. And then after that, lots of times they would cut away to show a segment, what happened in Big Brother? And there'd be 5 or 10, 15 minutes. And as soon as that happened, if anyone needed to get up and go to the bathroom or put on new shoes because they realized they didn't have the right ones for the competition or whatever, you could quickly go do that. But the rest of the time we were just sitting there, and you could talk. It was small talk. We weren't allowed to talk strategy or anything that would affect the game itself. So it was mainly just, it's you can really hear the crowds out there. What do you think they're showing right now? Or, I bet they're showing Jessica falling off the wall, whatever it may be. But we just sat there in between the shots while y'all are watching what was going on. And we just waited until Julie would flash back on the screen and talk to us a little bit more. And so that's the way it works. So really, we didn't sit there much longer than you see on the actual show. And as you remember, there were 1 or 2 nights where we didn't like the night where we were deciding between sending Tommy versus Holly home. We were still in the boat room after the show was supposed to have already started. And there was a part of me that kept saying, come on, just tell us to go sit down, because I'm tired of continuing to argue about it and have this get worse and worse. But they would let us go as long as possible before they made us finally come and sit down. So, they played with it a little bit. So Dan saying, if they do another All-Stars, I hope Cliff gets the call. Well, me too. How cool would that be? That'd be interesting. It would be a lot of fun. I'd love playing the game with other people who've played, because I've got people that I really admire who've played in other seasons that I'd love to play with. We've talked about it before. Some people I'd love to play with, Donnie and Johnny Mack and Brittany I mentioned last week. And yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So thank you. I'm not turning it down. I'd have to ask my wife and family. I've already done it once. I'd have to make sure they were okay with it. But beyond that, I'd love to do another All-Stars dance. So thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Ma saying, should Julie Vu be on Big Brother All-Stars? Yeah, we're going to talk about Big Brother Canada a little bit, because it's all over. It's all completed this season. I don't know. I don't think she should be an all-star because she got sent home first, right? I mean, that's tough to call anyone an all-star who got sent home first. But she certainly has the personality that it would be fun watching her come back in and do something else. So I don't know. I've always thought it'd be cool. Yes, All-Stars is great and all, but it also would be cool to have a season where you grab some of the people who went out first, second, third, some of the very early folks, and maybe not have all of them together, but although that'd be kind of cool too. But I'd love to see a few people, Big Brother Canada and Big Brother USA, who I felt like just didn't get a long enough trial to have another shot to come back in the house. David got it. He was in my season, went home way too early, and got to come back on All-Stars, which, hot and cold. He people gave him a hard time, but he stayed a long time, right? There's other people like that. Glenn, Cameron, Steve. There's a lot of people from Big Brother. Jody from Big Brother USA. I'd love to see get another shot. So, I don't know. But Julie Vu, I know she went out awful quick. So I kind of hold off calling her an all-star, but she was fun to watch for that little segment of time, right? She is a robbed queen, as Don mentions. I think that's it. She, I don't know how she would have played the game long term, but no one would have forgotten about her, right? All right. How about Parker saying, how about Bowie, the rich person of the family? What's his taste? Caviar and Dom Perignon? Parker. We're the Hogg family. There ain't any Dom Perignon or caviar in this family. I'll tell you what my brother Bowie's taste is right now. It's a whole lot of brisket and barbecue, because he's got a new smoker in the back and he cooks every chance he gets. If you go to my brother's house, you aren't going to go home hungry, because he's cooking up a lot of meats. I've got a brother, Jim, who has done the same thing. Those two, they both live up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they compare notes. They ought to be on a barbecue cook-off team, because they cook some amazing food every time we go up there to visit. GW 91975, Casa Bonita Deluxe Dinner, Shakes Pizza, and a Burger Chef Big Chef Burger. All right, I don't know if I've had the Big Chef Burger, but it sounds like it's a pretty good start. I could work with that. Casa Bonita, I actually think I've had Casa Bonita, so you're okay. We just need to have a potluck supper. Everyone just load up on what you want. We'll meet somewhere in the U.S. and have quite the shindig, and we'll all go waddling out of the dining hall when we get done with that. I haven't even thought about Casa Bonita in a while, but I know the restaurant. Yes, I do. Amanda's saying the Big 4-0 went to the Bitmore set. Well, first of all, congratulate, happy birthday again to you. But and the Bitmore, that sounds pretty fancy to me. I know the name. I've never been there, but I know the place. I know the name. All right, let's see. Everyone on that season was a king and queen. Yeah, let's go ahead. All right, we'll talk about that. I was going to do this staying here. So we'll talk about Big Brother Canada first. Everyone on that season was a king or queen, according to Ma. Yeah, I liked it. Now, here's the thing with Big Brother Canada. First of all, I think I told y'all last week, of the final four, I really was cheering for Kiefer. Kiefer was my guy. I just felt like he was kind of a comeback king, although he didn't get booted, but he came so close and he talked his way out of it. And I just always felt like he was kind of on the edge, and he used this little strategy and social game and all that to stay in the house. So Kiefer was kind of my guy that I really was cheering for him. But once I think I can talk about spoilers. The season's over, right? If you haven't watched it and you're still behind, take a break for about 5 minutes and come back. But once Kiefer got booted out and we had the final three left, Braden and Tasha and Tara. Of those, Tasha, I think he deserved it. I have no problem with him winning it all. He played a great game. He was friendly. He played the social game. He was a comp beast. He played strategies. I mean, he kind of did a little bit of everything that's needed in that house, and he did all of it well. So I was very excited to see him win. I would have been fine if the other two either one of them had won also, but he deserves it. Man, he just played a great game. And even little things like cutting Beth and Jetson and some of these people loose when he had to, even though they were friends, he just showed he was there to play the game. And that's what I've always asked about Big Brother players is don't come into the house because you want to get out and be an Instagram influencer or because you want to sell stuff or whatever. Just tell me you're coming in because you're a fan of the game and you want to play the strategy. And he did that. So congratulations. It's all over. I couldn't believe it. It was quite the interesting season as it was. Now, there's a couple of things on Big Brother Canada I thought about. One, did y'all realize there were only 14 house guests in that house versus like 16 in my season. So only 14 house guests, which doesn't sound like a lot of difference, just two people. But I do think it forces people to start working together just that much quicker than normally. And the other thing, they only played 60 something days versus 99 days for our season. On day 60 something, when Big Brother Canada wrapped up, Kat had just gotten booted out of the house. And I think maybe Christy and Sis were on the block that week, if I recall correctly. So we had a lot more game to play in our season. The difference between 60 days and 99 days is huge. So that was, I was kind of surprised how quick Big Brother Canada seemed to go. And I guess it always does. It just kind of caught me off guard. The other thing that really caught me off guard, well, not off guard, but the other thing I really noticed about Big Brother Canada, did y'all see the final competitions they had? They were all mental competition. There was one where you had to bounce a bunch of discs on a thing and roll it. So there's a little dexterity or little physical skills with that. But in terms of just the hardcore endurance, strength, mental type competitions, they didn't have any of that. And I was so jealous. All I could think while I was watching all those last few competitions is, oh my gosh, if my season of Big Brother, if we had those instead of the ones that we had, the slingshots and hanging from the ropes and all, if we'd had the others, Nicole and I would have had so much better chance of making it to the end. I would have killed to have that many mental competitions like they had, but it is what it is. And so, yeah, but I was glad to see competitions that really any one of those four could have won, as opposed to really favoring the people who were the most physically athletic type people. So that was pretty cool. All right, let's see. Brian saying, would you practice what you would do after voting in the hallway with the next person? Brian, we did that for the first or second show, live eviction show. Everyone talked about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and we would work on it and all. And yeah, we thought that was so cool. And by the time we were into week 3 or 4, I guess we were getting so into the game, or we were starting to develop people, not dislikes, but we were starting to develop alliances, the people who you wanted to work with, the other ones that you were trying to be nice to just because, but you didn't know I have that much to do with them and all. And so by week 3 or 4, maybe once or twice someone say, oh, we're going to do that for this or that. But at least from my standpoint, by that point, I was so inside the game. I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, if someone walks by, I may do a high five, something, or yell at them or whatever. But there wasn't as much planning. But the first week or two when it was all new, we were like, oh, we're going to do all this fancy stuff. And we had all these grand plans and all that. And then after a while, you just like, man, whatever. I'm just going to go in and vote. And I hope I vote the right way. And I don't care what I'm doing along the way so much. So yeah, a little bit when the very start. Let's see. This is a long shot, but does anyone remember the time Christy had to wait a few minutes on air before she voted? Am I crazy? Ma, I wasn't watching it. I was inside the house, but if I recall, there may have been something like that. I don't remember if it was during a commercial break and they came back and she was there. Something like that. I don't remember. It seems like I almost remember her saying something about it, that she was that she did something like that. So I don't know. You're probably not crazy. I don't remember the exact of it, but it was something like that. All right, let's see. Dan, our 18 Productions. What was night one like in the Big Brother house? Well, as a person who was banished on day one, it was it was quite the exciting night to have in play. We start off the day, you're trying to get to know everyone. Because I got banished, and what you may or may not know is once I got banished, Squirrel hauls me off and does all. By the time we actually did that competition that y'all saw, it took a couple hours to get everyone, the four of us that were banished, get us out of the house, get us ready for the competition. So we had to do the competition, and we had to come back into the house one at a time. And yeah, I came back in first. It was the order they showed and all that. But as a result, I missed 3, 4, 5 hours. I missed most of the afternoon of that first day, which was tough because everyone else is in there talking and working out deals and everything. And I didn't get a chance to do that. If I recall, we went into the house probably 10:30 or so in the morning. I'm kind of guessing because we didn't have watches or anything. Kind of guesswork, but probably mid-morning we went in. And so I missed most of the afternoon, but then I got back in and so I was trying to do what I could to start developing some relationships quickly because everyone else had been doing their things and all. But then before you know it, it's time for people to start kind of going to bed. And no one really wants to be the first person to go to sleep, especially on that first night. We all had a place where we were going to sleep. I realized I was going to be in the bed here and Ovi's here. And that's cool with me. And figure out who else is going to be in the bedroom with us and talking to them. And when it was finally time for bed, I remember the big thing I remember was, okay, I just don't want to start snoring or do anything that's going to make people mad at me. So I was laying in bed and I'm squeezed in trying to stay over on the side of the bed so I don't invade Ovi's space or anything else. And every once in a while you'd hear someone get up and disappear. And before I knew it, half the beds were empty and there were people elsewhere. And so I would get up and go listen in to people and things like that. I'll tell you one thing though, I think it was either night number 1 or number 2, one of the very earliest nights when Mickey and Christy and Tommy and I think maybe Jack and maybe Sis, there are about 4 or 5 people who all sat in the bathroom and they talked. And I missed that conversation, but I heard about it the next day because they had come up with nicknames for each other, just dumb names to call each other. But as soon as they start calling each other these names, that's immediately when I said, oh my gosh, they have formed some kind of alliance. The way they're talking to each other after staying up all night, something's going on. These people are a lot closer than they were before they went to bed last night. And so that was my very earliest realization that there was this big group that was forming that I was not a part of. And so immediately at that point, I thought, uh-oh, I'm in trouble because they're already calling each other nicknames. That's never a good sign. So there you go. So now the first night was exciting. Yeah, because there was a part of me that just said, God, I almost didn't even get to spend a night in the Big Brother house because I was going to get banished out of the house and all that. So just being in there when the lights finally go off and yet you can see just the tiniest little bit of red light from the night camera vision and things like that. And you're laying there and you can still hear every once in a while a camera rolling outside a window. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm in the Big Brother house. I'm sleeping, and yet all these cameras are still on me and everything else. Now, that was before live feeds, so I wasn't so worried. But yeah, it was cool. There's no getting around it. To say I'm sleeping in the Big Brother house, how neat is that? It was an amazing, amazing first night, amazing 92 nights or whatever. In fact, So, all right. I guess I got to explain tiger because it's been sitting out here for a while. And we'll talk about some comments after that. All right, guys, we've got our own Tiger King here at Houston. Did y'all hear the news? It's all I can talk about on the news down here in Houston, but I know it's made the national news a little bit as well. We got a freaking tiger in the neighborhoods here at Houston. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Was it Mother's Day? It's certainly over the weekend. Some people look up, and there's a tiger. This is a picture of it. The tiger just sitting in the front yard of someone's house. And, Texas, there's a lot of rural areas. We got a lot of ranches and horses and everything that you expect when someone says Texas. But we've also got just a lot of nice suburban subdivisions and homes just like everywhere else in the United States and Canada. And this is one of them. Can you imagine just opening up your door and you see a tiger, and a big tiger? Someone said, oh, that's not a mature tiger. That's a juvenile. Well, I don't know. It looks pretty grown up to me, but I've never done a lot of aging of tigers personally. But now people just look up and here's this tiger just sitting out in the front lawn, minding its own business, I guess, waiting for a small dog to walk by. I don't know, a small child or something, I think was the worry. But of course, it's Texas. So it's got to be the tiger's out there for a little while. Eventually, a guy jumps out of a car. Turns out, I think a car, or maybe he lives there. Anyway, he's an off-duty police officer. And so he jumps out with a gun, which I've seen some people criticizing him, but it's a tiger. You don't know when someone's going to walk by that may just look particularly tasty for that tiger. So you got to be prepared. So the guy jumps out, holding a gun on a tiger. I'm not sure if you point a gun at a tiger and say freeze, that the tiger is necessarily going to listen. I did notice it looked like he was kind of standing behind a car a little bit just to make sure he was safe as well. But watching the tiger, people are wondering what's going on. There's all kinds of videos because there's so many people that were just a little surprised, as would be myself. Eventually, some guy comes out of a house, goes over and grabs a tiger and says, hey, I get him back inside, and drug him back inside. Apparently then threw him into a car, drove off before the police could show up, and disappeared. So there's that. So we got a Tiger King. Well, now turns out today that the guy who owns a tiger, they're pretty sure he's a guy that's wanted on that's waiting to stand trial for a murder that he's accused of committing in 2017 or something. I don't know the details, but sounds like a guy maybe wasn't perhaps not the most upstanding citizen here in the city of Houston. Has been keeping tigers, and it's not legal. We're kind of wild down here at times and all of that, but it's not legal to keep tigers or other wild game inside the city limits. And this guy was doing it. So now he's a wanted man. He was already a wanted man for the murder, but now he's a wanted man for keeping a tiger. I feel so sorry for that tiger. Yeah. How could you keep a tiger in a backyard and think it's going to get enough exercise and everything else? And personally, man, if I'm getting ready to go to trial for murder, I'm not paying all my money to buy 80 or 90 pounds worth of raw meat every day. I'm using that money for an attorney instead to try to make sure I'm taken care of. But apparently that guy didn't do it. They've got pictures of him posing with this young tiger and monkeys and all kinds of exotic animals and everything else. So yeah, Joe Exotic up in Oklahoma. Now he's serving jail in Fort Worth. Well, there's an up and comer. Who knows? They may find this guy guilty of murder. And how funny would it be if they put him in the same jail cell as Joe Exotic? And Joe Exotic says, welcome. I'm kind of a big deal. I raise tigers. And the guy says, yeah, hold my beer. I do the same thing. And I was on TV too, Joe. So, it's we're buddies. We're tiger buddies. Don't put them in the same cells together. Who knows what the two of them may come up with if they have time to discuss plans together. That we may not ever want to see that. But yeah, so we had tigers here in Houston. We have all kinds of critters down here. I've told y'all before, I've been running. I need to do more of it now that the weather's gotten better again. But during my running, I've seen skunks and armadillos and possums. I saw several possums over the weekend. And we've got feral hogs that'll just go in and tear up yards everywhere inside the city. They've really gone crazy. There's way too many I'm not gonna say there's too many hogs in this city because that doesn't sound quite right. There's too many pigs in this city, but we've got those. We've got deer that are all over inside the city limits. We got a lot of wildlife here, and we've got every kind of flying creature you could imagine. I know. We've got our little neighborly bulletin boards, message boards, and all these people are constantly posting saying, watch out if you've got small cats or small dogs, because we've got big barn owls and falcons and hawks and everything else that because we live near the coastline, so you've got a lot of the marshes and things like that, and so they talk about don't let a little dog get picked up by a falcon because you'll never see again. So we've got a lot of different creatures down here, but I really hadn't planned on having a tiger that you had to worry about. It's not my neighborhood. I'm a little on down the road from where this thing was, but still, a tiger. Can you imagine that? You talk about running a marathon. I go outside and I see that tiger, and I don't know. They say don't run from bears. I'm not sure if a tiger, if they say face it or back up slowly or just run, make sure there's someone slower than you between you and that tiger. I don't know, but who knows? But anyway, so there you go. So there's there's our tiger story, our own little specific Houston Tiger King going on. All right, let's see. What else? Josh said, I hope Big Brother 23 comes on early instead of August. I think it's going to start earlier than that. I think it'll be the end of June. I keep hearing, but nothing official. I don't know anything more than y'all do. Oh, Don took off. All right. Bye, Don. I was busy talking. I probably missed you when you took off, but bye, Don. Josh is saying, wait, so the 2-night premiere was really just one night? No, I don't know, Joshy. Because if I recall, the 2-night premiere was basically covering everything that happened in the first week or two, right? If I recall, or the first week at least. So, no, I think because if I recall, the first night showed right up maybe to the banishment or somewhere around there. And then the second night showed maybe the Dark Forest maze and maybe the HOH competition. I don't remember because I was inside the house, but no, it was showing everything that happened in the first week and a half, something like that, if I recall. So there you go on that. All right, let's see what else, guys. Going to talk about too many cliff hogs in the city. There's only one, and that's probably just the right number, Ma. I do believe. I'm 8 minutes late, Ma, saying, oh yeah. Well, y'all know me. I start talking. I'll make you. I try to pay attention, but sometimes I get a little behind on the comments a lot. Angie's saying we've got a lot of bears here in Alberta. Just avoid them as they killed. Yeah. I don't want to mess with the bears. I see those little baby bears, and wherever you see those, there's always a mama bear somewhere down the way as well. So yeah, we've got some brown bears still here theoretically in Texas, but not like we used to have, and not like y'all got up in Canada and everything. I was up in Alaska on the North Slope and saw was it grizzly bear or polar bear? I can't remember now, but that was cool. See one out in the natural wilds. I was in a car that went fast, so that's the way to see them. That or in a zoo is my preferred way to see bears. No, my son's gone all kinds of camping. He's been up to New Mexico and places like that, and they've seen bears out in the wild just wandering around and tried to avoid them and all of that. So yeah, you got to watch out for those bears. You don't have anything to do with them, especially like I say, because they're territorial. They're protecting their babies and things like that. All right, let's see. So what else? Let's move on from the Tiger King. But what else is going on? A couple of things. Well, let me do this, right? Because I always run out of time at the end. And so I've been storing these things up for, I got a few other things. This day in history and all. Maybe we'll cover that at the end. But we're well into it. One of the things I've been doing, I got caught up on the Big Brother, and I'm glad. I finished that up. Now my other ones I'm watching. The big one right now, Big Brother Australia, which I'm behind. I still can't stay caught up on these shows, but I'm watching Big Brother Australia. Now, Big Brother Australia is different because that show, they film the whole thing, and then after it's done, then they actually broadcast it. So everyone who was on that show, the finale may be live, so they may not know who wins the final thing, but pretty much they know how the whole season's gone before it's broadcast. So you don't have live feeds or anything like that, but it's pretty interesting if you can find a way to watch it. And you can do Google and find, I don't know, YouTube may have episodes out there. I'm not real sure. It's a cool house. One of the first episodes, a couple of people found out there was a hidden passage in the not really diary room, kind of our version of their version of the boat room from my season. Found out there's a hidden passage. They pushed a button, a cushion opened up. They went into an underground bunker and they spent a week in there watching everything that happened. And everyone else just looked around and said, hey, what happened to Dan? What happened to what's his face? They're just gone. No clue what was going on. They just realized two of their own were suddenly had disappeared. And then a week later, they show back up, and they're not only showing back up, but now they're getting to decide basically who goes home. I'm not going to spoil anything, but they're casting votes and making a lot of decisions at that point in time. So yeah, Big Brother Australia, Big Brother all over the world. So I'm trying to get caught up on that as well. Let's see. So all right, so that's my other reality show I'm watching. 18. I've always wondered what it's like in sequester before going into the Big Brother house, and did they watch you? All right, we'll handle that, and then there's another topic I want to cover. Yeah, sequester was interesting, and I can't give away everything, 18, because they wouldn't want me to say everything and then suddenly have people trying to show up and spoil stuff or whatever. But we were kept in sequester. We were kept separate from each other. I had no clue who else was going to be in the house. Kept in a room, and I had very little. I never left the room. I never ever, except like once or twice when they did some photo shoots and things like that. But food was brought to us. No internet access, no TV access, nothing. We had DVD players and a whole bunch of DVDs that you could check out. Not the Hunger Games. I wanted to watch the Hunger Games, and they said, "No, Cliff, we don't have that in here." Which seems natural. You're going in Big Brother, right? Yeah, getting that cutthroat mood and all that. But they didn't have Hunger Games. But they had a whole bunch of movies that you could watch on DVD. And if you really got bored, I guess you could probably tell them you were bored. And I imagine they would have sent some production person down to play cards with you or something. I don't know. But no, for the most part, you were just kept inside, watch as much TV as you want, sleep as much as you want. I would try to work out in there, just run back and forth, do jumping jacks, things just to keep me going a little bit. But it was just incredibly boring. But at the same time, it was so exciting because you knew you were getting ready to go in the house. By that point in time, you knew that you were going on the show. And so that was cool. Did they watch you? No, not that I know of, but maybe. For all I know, there was someone sitting right outside my room watching 24 hours a day. But I don't know. It's not like I was asleep and there was a camera up in the corner watching me sleep or anything like that. It wasn't that kind of surveillance. But I'm sure people were keeping track and making sure that you weren't out exploring the nightlife in the middle of the night or anything like that. It was a good test because it was being cut off from everything, being cut off from family and news and all that was tough. But if you couldn't handle a week of it, then you probably couldn't handle being inside the house either. So I know in the past they've had one or two people who, before the season started, were in sequester and said, "Yeah, I've had enough. I'm done. I don't want to do this after all." So I guess that's a start of psychological testing while you're in there. Now, for all I know, there were some psychiatrists taking notes every day on, Cliff, he hadn't. Look at the movies he's renting. What's that say about his personality? Who knows what kind of guinea pig subject science studies we may have been subject to. But now they weren't watching us 24 hours a day. Nothing like that. And Moss saying someone's always watching. Well, that's probably true. But that's just the nature of the world we live in, right? Hey, everyone was watching me on Big Brother. We're all being watched, right? All right. So, all right. I want to go to a topic that I've run out of time for the past few weeks, every single time, but it's movies. I've watched all the reality TV, but I've also been watching, because we had thunderstorms and all that stuff, so I've certainly been locked away inside with the TV going for a little while. So I had a few movies I watched over the last couple of weeks, and I wanted to get y'all's thoughts. Some I've liked, some have not liked so much. So I'll just give you my own Roger Ebert. Y'all remember him, right? Siskel and Ebert. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I'll give you the Boss Hogg version, thumbs up or thumbs down of some movies, and see what y'all think about them. Someone is always watching. Yeah, Arissa. I like Arissa as a host. She's a lot of fun. All right, so some movies I watched. One of them, and y'all may not remember this one because it's been a while, but Knives Out. Have you ever heard of Knives Out? It stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Daniel Craig. I guess he's the main person. He's like a detective. Daniel Craig, Don Johnson. There's others that I probably need to remember and I can't, but it's called Knives Out. It's all about a family. Yeah, it's about a family, and I'm not going to give you any spoilers to ruin it, but the patriarch of a family passes away. And that's not spoiling because it happens in the first minute or two. The patriarch of the family passes away. Everyone is gathered together of this family for the reading of the will, for funerals, for everything else. And is sometimes more common than we'd like to admit. This family is a little dysfunctional, and it soon turns into a little bit of arguing about who gets what and who did what, and did this guy pass away naturally, or was there something else going on? And Daniel Craig plays a detective. It's kind of set up like an old Agatha Christie murder mystery, like Murder on the Orient Express, something like that. And so it's kind of a whodunit. Daniel Craig's a detective that's trying to figure it all out, and that's what it turns into, a murder mystery, and it's all resolved at the end. I'd never even heard of it. It just popped on TV, and Sharon and I started watching it. And I should have put what year it was on. I want to say it's probably 15 years old, maybe something like that. But it's an amazing movie. It was so much fun. I had a blast watching it, and some of the characters in here. Don Johnson, you remember old Miami Vice, and now he did a fun job playing his role. A lot of them did. With Jamie Lee Curtis kind of went against some of the roles she's played, a little against character and all that. So Meg saying, I think it's on Amazon Prime. Maybe. I don't even remember which one, but very well could be. But it's out there. It's not like it's just came out. So it's it's good. So there you go. So the Boss Hogg rating system on Knives Out, 2 thumbs up. I absolutely enjoyed it. Another one, and David Buchanan. Funny that you should mention it. Tenet, and Meg saying was my favorite movie from last year. All right, David and Meg, both of y'all. I watched Tenet, and I like Chris Nolan movies. Man, Interstellar and some of the movies he's done in the past. I love science fiction. I love the science fiction that forces you to think through, and intelligent science fiction, right? As opposed to Star Trek and all that, but that's not fair because I love Star Trek. But there's some science fiction where you're just kind of asked to believe stuff without a whole lot of physics backing it up or anything else, and things like that. Well, Tenet, most of Chris Nolan's movies are not like that. It's very grounded in real science. It's hard to say when I get ready to talk about Tenet because it's a pretty unbelievable, implausible, tough to believe rule of physics that they're employing. But anyway, but Tenet, Christopher Nolan movie, and it's all about stuff. I don't want to spoil it, so it's tough, but people that can change the law of physics. Let's just say it like that. That causes some changes in the time-space continuum. That sounds pretty fancy, right? But yeah, and so it's all about people fighting to try to control what happens in the future, and it involves a little leaping back and forth in time in different ways. And I gotta say this, it had amazing special effects. There are times where I just thought that he wrote this entire plot just to give him a way to film some of these special effects, which were incredible. And I really enjoyed about the first 10 minutes of it, where there's some stuff happening, a concert, hostage situation, some things like that. But as I got a little further into it, there was a part of me that I was spending so much time trying to figure out what maybe was going on, that I was not able to pay attention to what was actually happening on the screen at the times. And I got done with it. About 2/3 of the way through, I said, this is, I can't even keep up. I'm not sure that I'm really going for this one. I just can't handle it. Well, then as I got to the end and some stuff was explained in more detail, and I finally started understanding some of it. And by the time you get through with it all and it ties it all in together, it got much better. But there were parts in the middle of it where I was like, you've lost me. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just going to enjoy the special effects and watch it for that, and try not to keep explaining all the physics and everything else. I don't think it's a book. I think it's a direct to movies, but that's the kind of movie I think if it was a book and I could read it and really think about everything that's being explained in terms of some of these physics rules and things like that, I maybe would enjoy it just on a different level to watch it like that. So, yeah. So David, Meg, I understand why you liked it because it was kind of a cool movie, but from the Boss Hogg rating, I'm gonna give it just kind of a middle of the road thumbs. I'll put it this way: I enjoyed watching it. I probably don't want to necessarily watch it again. It was kind of it was a thinking man's movie, but maybe my brain just wasn't thinking enough. Maybe I shouldn't have watched it in the middle of the night. Maybe I should have gone in knowing I was gonna have to be thinking about it a lot more. So yeah, it was cool. But I maybe put Interstellar and some of his others just a little bit higher. Oh, all right, Meg. Meg's got a point for all y'all watching it. Yes, if anyone watches Tenet, use the subtitles. You are so correct, my friend. Oh my God, I thought I was going deaf because I couldn't understand half of what was being said. Sharon and I eventually turned on the subtitles because there's so much being said during loud background noises and everything else. I couldn't understand it all. It's hard enough to understand the plot, but if you miss a lot of the verbiage, then it's even tougher. So yeah, we watched the whole movie with subtitles. Thank you, Meg. Probably the best recommendation. Forget the movie reviews. Best recommendation of the whole night. If you're gonna watch Tenet, watch it with subtitles because that's absolutely important. And Meg saying almost all the effects in Tenet are real. Yeah, I knew that. I don't know if y'all do it. Every time I watch a movie, I typically go out to like IMDb and I'll pull up the movie notes and I'll read all the trivia and I'll read all the goofs. And I got to say the goofs, there are either very observant people in this world or people who just watch some of these movies way too many times because I'm amazed at some of the goofs, continuity, things like that people pick up on. But I always read the trivia and everything. And I did read that what Meg mentioned is that all the special effects were real. There's little to no CGI or models. It was all maybe a few models here and there, but very, very much true stuff, which is kind of cool. Chris Nolan is an amazing director, producer, whatever part he relays. I think a little of each. So had that. All right, I got another one for y'all. All right, Memento. Who said Memento? David. I have not watched Memento yet, but I'll put that on the list. All right, I've got another one for y'all. Oh, I got two of them. One of them is it on Amazon, I think, Without Remorse with Michael B. Jordan. If you haven't watched that, pretty good movie. I'm a huge Tom Clancy fan. I mean, I love Tom Clancy. Hunt for Red October, Red Storm Rider. There's a lot of them I like. Well, Without Remorse is one of my favorite Tom Clancy novels. I just liked it. And I'm not going to spoil this at all, but it's kind of about how a guy got into being a field agent for the CIA and things like that. A special type of field agent. And so I love the book. So I was really looking forward to the season. And I got to say, Michael B. Jordan, in terms of being an actor, I think he played the role perfectly. I was just believable, and I liked watching the guy. And it was a lot of action. There's not a lot of backstory. I mean, he just kind of shows up, and he's immediately doing stuff, and you quickly see his motivations for doing what he's doing and things like that. So maybe not as much plot development as you get when you read a typical Tom Clancy 1,200-page book or whatever. And I got to say this, the only thing that disappointed me was the fact that the movie, completely different than the book. I mean, other than the main guy has the same name in both of them. Other than that, just almost a completely different story. So it wasn't what I expected or even what I wanted after reading the book, but I enjoyed it. It was still a good movie. And I think Michael B. Jordan did an amazing job. I just cheered for the guy. And they've already indicated there's going to be a sequel, another book that I love by Tom. One of my favorites of Tom Clancy called Rainbow Six. So they're already going to do a sequel, and I think he's going to do fantastic on it. I hope it sticks more to the plot of the book because it's a fantastic book. Oh, it's going to be I love the book. In fact, along with movie recommendation, Rainbow Six by Tom Clancy. If you get around to reading something, look for that one. So yeah, so my ratings on Without Remorse, acting, plot, interest, I'll give you a thumbs up. How well it stayed to the source material, I give you a thumbs down. So what's that? Average out to something like that. That was good. And Michael B. Jordan, he's one of my new favorite actors. I just like the guy. He just did a great job. So I had fun with that. All right, Angie's watched 50. I thought I saw that a second. Yeah, we'll go back to that. So I don't. Angie, where you've watched 15 Kate Winslet movies in a row, including Titanic twice in the past month, using her as an actor's guide. Well, you could do a whole lot worse than that, right? Now, yeah, Angie knows. Most of y'all know I've never watched Titanic all the way through, and I'll stick with that. But not because I don't like Kate Winslet or don't think she's an amazing actress or anything. It's just, it's just a personal thing. I've gone this long without it, and so now it's just my way of showing my rebel streak by not watching it. Let's see. Kate Winslet has not watched her performance on Titanic yet because she's embarrassed. Ma says, you know what? I got mixed feelings on it. I haven't watched Big Brother my season all the way through, but I don't think it's because I'm embarrassed about how I played or how I come off or anything else. It's just because I already kind of know the ending and I know what happened and all of that. I think if I was an actor or an actress, I'd be watching it all. I could be the worst actor. I may be. I could be the worst actor in the world, and I think I'd still watch it over and over again just to say, hey, that's me up there. Huh? Can you believe it? It's me. That may be the difference between Kate Winslet and me. She strives for perfection in her acting roles, whereas me, I'd just be happy to be up there on the TV screen. I could be the biggest goofus in the world, and I'd still be pretty excited I was up there. So we'll see. All right, let's see. Yeah, without subtitles, you can't even watch Tenet. That's true. As Megan pointed out. She attended the Titanic 3D premiere in person, which took place 20 years after the original, Angie said. Oh, okay. Well, that's Titanic 3D. So the ship just comes straight at you, and you're like, iceberg maybe. Maybe it's not the ship. Maybe it's the iceberg that's coming right at you instead. Oh, she doesn't like her American accent in it, though. Well, I can see that. And then if I was in a movie and you asked me to speak with a different accent, no matter how well I thought it was, I'm sure you asked me to play like I'm an Alberta resident talking with a Canadian accent. People like Angie would just throw tomatoes at me before we got done. I couldn't do it. I can throw in as many at the end, and you'd still. I'd be like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins. Everyone makes fun of him and his Cockney accent, and that'd be just as bad. I don't think I could ever do accents. Now, if you ask me to play a guy living out in West Texas working in an oil field, I can probably replicate that accent pretty well. I can countrify my talk up pretty well when I need to, but going the other direction, it'd be a little tough to do. All right, let's see. What else? The Holiday. Yeah, Ma says I'm the worst actor, Cliff. Yeah, you haven't seen me act yet, Ma. Sharon loves The Holiday. She absolutely loves it. We've watched that so many times. So love The Holiday. That's a fun one. Let's see. Imagine being another famous person with the name Michael Jordan. Yeah, Ma, you think, I don't know. And yet he made his own name for himself. Which is pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know if that's a cool thing to have another name, Michael Jordan, or we know why he put the B in the middle, right? But yeah, it's I like. They're two different Michael Jordans, and I like watching both of them. They both are very well at what they do. Angie says Cliff and Kate should get together and watch Titanic. All right, if Kate Winslet comes over to my house, not only am I going to watch it, but I'm going to lie through my teeth. I'm going to tell her I've watched it 100 times because I admire her performance so much. I'm not going to admit to her that I've never even watched a movie she's been in. I don't know. Maybe I would. She'd appreciate it. She'd understand, right? Ma saying 2016, 2017 power went out, so I watched Titanic on DVD. And Hayden saying it's a must watch. I know, Tate. I know it's a must watch. I know that I am missing out by not watching Titanic, but that's why I'm doing it. It's my own form of self-discipline saying I'm going to deprive myself of something that everyone else has enjoyed so much just to show I can. I know it doesn't make sense to me either, but I'm a man of principle, and my principle is I'm not going to watch Titanic. I know the song. Lord, I've heard the song enough times, so maybe that's it. Also recommend Mayor of Easttown to all the Kate Winslet fans. I need to get caught up in Kate Winslet because I haven't watched enough. And Amanda's saying Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, I like that. Who said I love The Holiday too? Angie. Yeah, we've watched The Holiday more times than I can possibly imagine. Everyone in that, is there a person in that movie who did not do an amazing, fantastic performance? I just keep thinking of Jack Black would talk about the Jaws theme while they're in a DVD store. which we don't even have anymore, right? But yeah, I love the Holiday. It's what a great romantic movie. So we've watched that a few times. Wow, it's already 8 o'clock, guys. That went kind of fast. I didn't even talk this day in history. I'll throw it out as we finish up. This day in history in 1869, I think. The Transatlantic Railroad was completed here in the United States. They drove the Golden Spike over there in Utah and said, "Wow, Pony Express, we got a new way to deliver the mail and everything else." And suddenly we connected California and the West Coast and everything on the East Coast and everything in between with one big old railroad. That's pretty. I didn't think about what a big deal that was in terms of uniting this country and giving us what they call it, the manifest destiny. Manifest this, bro. couldn't resist it. Yeah, it kind of solidifies the nation. And Angie, maybe we won't do on the show because I'm getting ready to shut down. But I feel like there was a transatlantic railroad for the Canadian provinces too, wasn't there? We don't get taught that stuff here in U.S. history, but I feel like there may have been something that y'all have y'all's own railroad that came along right after that also. I think, but topic for another day. All right, guys, I am going to. Do you watch Manifest? No, Ma, I don't, but I'll put it on your list. There's always a list I try to keep of what I'm going to watch. All right, I'm going to shut it down, guys. Y'all have a fantastic rest of the week. When I come back next week, May 17th, and guess what's on May 18th? They're coming to take all the bees out of my house. So we'll talk about that a little bit next week. Just give y'all a little teaser. But we'll do that. Y'all have a fantastic one. Stay safe. If you didn't talk to your mom yesterday, think about your mom and all of that in case you haven't already, because they all deserve our love and affection. Y'all have a great one, guys. Take it easy. I will see y'all next week. I'll finish up with SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, and love all the other reality TV fans of the world, and love all of y'all too. Take it easy, guys. Have a great one. Cheers, my friends. Bye.